All right, Shalom. Shalom. All right. Before I get started, I want to give all the glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Kwadash. Double honors unto my apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and safety to all the sincere Akim that's out here, that's pushing his word in truth and in all sincerity. Shalom to you all. All right. Shalom to you sincere sisters that are out there as well. All right. Shalom to all you new listeners. You know, shalom to everybody that's in the true spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai in these times that we're in, you know? So, building off of the title of this lesson, it's entitled, The World Did End in the Year 2000. And this is, of course, a point that a lot of scoffers, matter of fact, let me just open with that. A lot of scoffers within this thing try to use as oh, y'all are false prophets. That was a false prophet. It's prophecy and this, that, and the third. And, you know, and I'm going to show you through different points, economically, social progressively, in so many different ways to show you that the world really did end spiritually. All right. So it died. What was then, what was the life pre-2000 versus today is not here anymore. All right. Now you got to understand that which we're going to go into as well, Lord willingly, is that within the word world, there's multiple meanings to the word world. All right. Now let's get a scripture before we move forward. Let's go to 2 Peter's 3. Well, this whole chapter is really good. 2 Peter's 3 and 2. And it says, I'll start at 1. This is good. We'll build off of this. It says, this second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by the way of remembrance. Because truly, indeed, this word, the true understanding of this word, is only for the elect. Thus saith the scriptures. So these words are only to stir up your mind, put you in remembrance of what you already knew, that who you are. All right. Now, moving on, that's a deeper lesson for another time. That ye may be mindful of the words which ye speak, which were spoken before by the holy prophets, and of the commandments of us, the apostles of the Lord and Savior. Right. So what is something? I'm not going to get it for the time's sake. What is that? Jeremiah 28:8 tells us that the prophets of old prophesied against great kingdoms of war and pestilence, right? So again, that's a sign of the same message is being pushed. That's the remembrance. Oh, yeah. See, this devil, he thought that by beating us, stripping us of our nationality, putting trillions of dollars into disrupting our life, right? This understanding who we are. There's a lot of money that goes into keeping specifically us in ignorance. Matter of fact, let me just get that for the sake of edification. Let's go to Psalms 83 real quick. This is Psalms 83 and 3. And it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be not be no more in remembrance. So a lot of money, a lot of war, a lot of resources, a lot of death, a lot of stuff happened in the name of cutting off our remembrance. So here we are today, lining up with Second Peter's, the Lord is putting the elect of his people back in remembrance for these last days. All right. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days, which is a funny point with this as well, as far as the world ending. All right, because I could argue that the world of Esau ended when Yahushua was born, who the world ended calls Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago. Right? Matter of fact, let me get that too. Because see, the total chaos, big production level ending that people are looking for, that is to come. But before that comes, there's a lot of major blows that have occurred to this society, to Esau specifically, that are leading unto you're done. This society is done. All right. So what was I going to get? Oh, man. It'll come back. Let's go back to this Peter's. What was I reading? It says, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust. Oh, that's what I was going to get. The water, yeah, about Shimei Shai. Let's go to Hebrews 1 real quick. And it says, I'm gonna read it as is. God, who at a sundry times in diverse matters spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. Here you see this word keeps coming up in the spirit of the prophets. See, another gift of the prophets is knowing the times, knowing the beginning, the midst, and the end thereof, to declare it to the nations, specifically, and starting with Israel, but also being a prophet unto the nations. Because see, this devil, the anti Messiah, the ultimate anti-Messiah, all right, who created a environment for anti-Messiahs to live in, right, has destroyed time as a whole. Time is destroyed. You don't know what time it is. Most people have no clue what time it is. And you even as you're hearing me say that, you're thinking August 4th, 10:16 a.m. Eastern time. That's what you're still thinking of carnal time. You don't know spiritually. The scriptures speak about redeeming the time, measuring the time. How do you measure the time? Diligently. You got to know what time, where we are as according to biblical prophecy. That's why it says by the prophets. Nobody else knows the time. And even right now, how do you know we're technically we're not in the 8th month. How about that for a time fuck? All right. And I'm trying not to get off cue, which is a spirit, but the scriptures tell us in Daniel, the 7th chapter, that he shall change laws and time. Mainly the time that he's changed is a spiritual time. People have no clue of what's happening. So you think that you have your gotcha moment by saying that, oh, y'all said the world was going to end in the year 2000. Well, hey, you know what? I could argue that the world did end in the year 2000. The world that we live in 2025 is not the world that was here in 2000 on no level. On how people deal with each other, which I'm building up to and we're going to get into. Because even when you go into it historically and you research this, it'll show you. Hey, take your meds. So another person is going to die. See you later. So you people, man, that's like I said, it's like just as simple that. Some loser that don't know what time it is, who probably is living with his mother, right? Who jerks his dick off 7 to 8 times a week is going to tell me something. See, I'm not playing. This is not a playing factor. This is not a playing issue. But you people, because you don't know what time it is, you're always playing. It's always playtime. You're all a bunch of children. Okay? Let's see what scripture you got. Shalom. This is Second Ezra's 9, yep, Second Ezra's 9:1, and he said, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before. So we've seen part of the signs pass. The year 2000 was part of the signs passing. I recommend you go back. It's a documentary on Hulu. I recommend. It's called, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I recommend, if you just don't got nothing to watch and you need something to watch. Let me see if I can get, I want to get the real name, the full name. Well, it's not currently, but you could probably find it. Y'all are, if you got HBO, it seems like it's on there. Y2K. Go watch that. Right? I think that's it. It's a documentary. Let me see. It's a documentary, I want to say. Nah, it's a, yeah, hold on. Yeah, Time Bomb Y2K. If you could find that. Time Bomb Y2K. And when you go watch that, it gives you how the world looked going into the early 90s, what led up to everybody bugging out and thinking that the world was going to end. See, you had a, in my hindsight, you had 3 factors of people speaking on the world ending in the year 2000, right? You had the Y2K bug people, which that documentary goes into. You had those people that focused in on the computers and technology and things of that nature. That was one group that this is my personal opinion, okay? That's one. The 2, you had your religious people. A lot of religious people thought and believed in the aspect of the world ending or Christ returning, right? And then the 3rd group, which is kind of an in between, like you could say like a 2.5 or 1 point, you could say like a 1.5, really, is your at the time truthers. See, a lot of people think that truthers just started in the last 10 years of YouTube. No, you had people that were prepping. You got a lot of people that were prepping going back to the 80s and the 90s, early 90s, that documentary goes into. So again, I'm gonna get into a few points right along with these scriptures to speak on the world in the pre-2000 and the world today. Because you got a lot of people, if you were born in the year 2000, you're 25 years old today. Think about that. You're pushing 30 and you were born past the time that I'm speaking of. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're closer to the year 2020, we're close to the year 2050 than we are like 1980. You understand like how much time has moved on, how much life has changed? So let me get into this. I asked ChatGPT this the other day. I took it on my phone and I got the pictures on my tablet. So I asked ChatGPT a question in regards to the quality of life pre-2000 to today. And he says, the differences are complex and can be viewed through economic, social, and technological and environmental lenses. Here's a breakdown of some of the major contrasts. All right. And it says, number 1, economic and job market. Now I'm gonna get some scriptures to go along with these points. It says pre-2000, stable employment, more long-term stable jobs with pensions, loyalty between employers and employees was more common. Wages kept pace with cost of living more effectively for the middle class. College was affordable. Tuition was far lower, and student loan debt was minimal. Home ownership was accessible. median home prices were more in line with average income. So again, this is pre-2000s. Millennials, anyone between the ages of like 26, 27, and like 42, give or take. I could be wrong by a year, right? We're the first generation that's not going to live a better life than the previous generation, or make more money than the previous generation, but be economically in a better position than the generation pre us, right? Because of this was stability. You understand how important stability is? It used to be the way of life was just be moderately okay in high school, right? You could go to college if you want to, but you don't have to. You could just go get a factory job, which, again, these points, all right? Let me get a scripture, right? These points all add to the ending of a society. Do you understand? Like, we're entering into the fourth industrial revolution. That's why the family structure is not needed anymore. This is why men and women are at each other's necks and aren't trying to be companionship and work together, because that was something that the international bankers, they don't need that shit no more. That was when Harry went to the factory or to the port, or he worked at a fucking mill and he was there 12, 13 hours, 6 days a week, and his woman was at home with the children. That's not the case no more. Do you understand that all of these points lead to the devastation? I'm trying to pick my words carefully. To the death of this place. This place is dying. That's the point. This place has been dying. I go as far to say if you were born past 92, 93, you really didn't experience Babylon. You didn't experience the Babylon pre-2000 of the quality of life, the simplisticness of life, how everybody got along, neighbors talking, all of that. Friendships, dating. That is an experience that has been dying and really has been dead for a good decade at this point. That's what I'm speaking to. That's why I said in Hebrews, the first chapter, what it says, verse 2, I didn't finish this, hath in the last days spoken to us by his Son, whom have appointed heir of all things, by whom also he hath made the worlds. Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, was born and came on the scene 2,000 plus years ago. That was really the beginning of the end. That was the end of Esau's society. That's why Herod went so hard. That was the end. He knew he had to do something, because that was biblical prophecy that the end of the Edomites kingdom, Yahushua ushered in the end. See? You're a false prophet. You're unlearned. You're uneducated. You have no understanding. This place has ended. 2020 was another hit to this place where that was an end of an era too, an end of an age. 2020, the life in 2020, pre-2020 and here, come on, man. You got to see the hits. You got to see the devastating blows that this place is taking. Let's get back into it. Now, back to 2 Peter's. That's what we're building off of. And it says, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things are continued as they were in the beginning of the creation. Right, that's that scoffing energy. You niggas, your elders said the world was going to end in the year 2000. That gives me a reason to say I'm not a Hebrew. I'm going to go back to being a Christian, being in the world, being on the side of America, because the world's not ending, right? That's what happens. That's where that spirit comes from. That's a scoffing spirit. You're saying, oh, the Lord, that ain't happening. Y'all said the world's going to end in the year 2000. It's the year 2025. That energy. You don't even know you don't even get the word world. That's why you people get tripped up when you read. Okay, so in one scripture, John 3:16, it says God so loveth the world that he gave his only begotten son. But then, and what is that? 1 John, the scriptures say, love not the world nor the things that are in it. If a man loved the world, the Father, what the hell? Isn't that contradiction? Isn't that confusion? No, the confusion is your lack of understanding. That's why, again, as I started off with the other scriptures, it keeps tying in the prophets. Only the prophets understand how this world operates in spiritual time and in physical time. Let's keep going. So let's go back to these pictures. I mean, these points from chat. Now, again, like I said, this is from Chat GPT. So it said there were stable jobs. Matter of fact, I'm going to get a precept. Let's go from there to Isaiah 19. Because this is how you're supposed to look at what's happening in real time with you and tie it into biblical prophecy. But if you're not a prophet, you're not going to be able to. And I don't even like saying it like that, but in the spirit, that's just what it is, man. You know, I say that with all humility. As Isaiah 19, come on now. It's Isaiah 19 and 14. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof. See, Egypt wasn't erring in his work in the pre-2000. You understand? Like, there was a time, I was listening to something earlier, and these so-called white guys were breaking down the fact that in the like the 1970s, 60s, somewhere in there, right? That minimum wage was paid out the same amount as what an ounce of gold was. So gold in this time period, I have to look it up. I don't remember the exact decade, but at this point, minimum wage was at a point where at the end of the week, you working a full-time job, you could buy an ounce of gold because gold was only $47 an ounce. So at the end of the week, you could have bought an ounce of gold. Today, for you to be able to do that, to buy an ounce of gold a week, that breaks down into like $6,000 a week that you would have to get paid today to be able to do that then. You understand what that means? That minimum wage should be really $300,000 a year. But see, when it was clicking, when America was clicking, everybody was under the American dream spell, and it was working for you. You graduated high school. You got a job. You could go back to school. It made sense. You got raises, promotions. You were able to have a family. You were able to travel once or twice a year. You were able to have 2 cars, 3 cars, a bike, a boat, jet skis, a Harley. Do you understand? Harley Davis is going out of business because the generation of the generation of younger generations don't have the extra money to buy that shit. Do you understand how the quality of life changed? That's why I said it's like a lot of, I guess this lesson is in the spirit of a lot of men and women, you weren't even alive to experience these things. You know, your life is just, this is not an age shaming thing or any of that. This is just laying it out there that if you were born in the year 2000, you're 25 years old. That's crazy. Because in the year 2000, I was a 9th grader in high school, about to working my way to graduate high school. You understand? Like, so I experienced elementary, middle school through the 90s. Like I said, I remember the time of, which is the end. I say the end of an age, which is what? Eon, the word world, has multiple meanings throughout the scriptures. The eon of America, the end of an age, the age that America was clicking at, that shit ain't here no more. It's long gone. You're not living the life that people were easily living several years ago, 2 decades ago, 2.5 decades ago. Gas was like under $2. Dollar and some change got you gas. Look at these food videos. Look at Chick-fil-A, how expensive Chick-fil-A is today in comparison to what it was 4 years ago, let alone 20 years ago. The Lord said he mingled a perverse spirit in this thing. This is perverse. Let's look up that word perverse. Yeah, let's get that word perverse. All right. Perverse meaning is late 14th century, wicked, unnatural, degenerate, perverse, contrary. The Lord put a degenerate spirit in this society because this shit don't really make no sense. Do you, like, are you really, see, that's how you know a lot of you're just NPCs. You're not real. You just get up in the day, you get up out of your bed, you piss, you eat whatever's the closest thing to you, you work a job, you consume, you recharge at night, and you do it over again. You don't think, you don't consider, you don't meditate, you don't do any of those things. And that's part of the perversion of this place. They keep you in this stupid loop of life because they don't want you to have a moment to think. But most of you ain't gonna think about nothing anyway. But the point of it all is that this is degenerate. This work society is degenerate. Let's get that word. What does it mean? What does the word degenerate mean? Let's look that up. I know what it means, but hey, just for the sake of edification, let's get it. All right, degenerate. I don't know why I'm messing that word. Having lost or suffer impairment to the qualities proper to the race or kind, right? America as a whole is a degenerate state. The white people, the black people, everybody here, the women, the men, the children, everything is impaired. It's suffering, right? To be inferior to one's ancestors. See, just 40, 50 years ago, all right, a man, all he had, especially the so-called white man, you Edomites, all you had to do, this is why you get these numbers where it's like a white man that graduates high school has more wealth than a black man who graduated with his master's degree. Where do you think this scale has always been? This is why white people look at you crazy now when you say there's white privilege. That's why you kind of have to see the duality of it, right? Is there a privilege to Esau because Esau is in his kingdom? Absolutely. I could argue that as well. But I could also say to you that because we are in these days, that privilege that so-called white people have, it's fading away. Esau don't have really much privilege out here. Esau's struggling like us, if not struggling more, because he's not prepped to deal with this. We've been struggling all our lives, most of us. Our parents were struggling. We grew up struggling. Our grandparents had some level of struggle. This is nothing This is nothing new. All right. Hey, shalom. All right. This is nothing new. Yeah, let me see what you say. Yeah. Hey, shalom, priest. Oh, let me read what you got there. Let me see. This 2nd Ezra 14 and 10, it says, for the world have lost his youth, and his time began to wax old. Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, this place is waxed old. That's why this is the easiest time it's ever been to forsake this place. Forsake this place. See, when Apostle Tahar and the apostles of old was forsaking this in the 80s and the 90s, it was a lot to forsake because America was still booming. This is the golden era of basketball, the golden era of football, the golden era of entertainment. Everything was in its golden era in the late 80s, early 90s. Think about that. And they were forsaking this shit. We don't got, this place is cooked. It's fried. It's waxed old. You're not going to find a career that's going to allow you to be 20, you're going to be on this job 20 years, 25 years. We don't got that much time, but even in the spirit of how this place operates, you think there's no careers out here for you. Oh, yeah, I've been working here for 40 years. That's dead. All right. Yeah, 2 Ezra 14 and 17. It says, for look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. Yes, this place is gotten weaker. That's what the word perversion means, wicked. See, strong men have honor and an integrity and stand on principles. This place doesn't honor that. This place doesn't honor hard work. So what happens? You just see this what is this little TJ, this little Asian bitch that was doing videos or whatever. She was doing stupid videos a few years ago, but now she just turned 18 and she started a OnlyFans, and she made $1 million in the first day. That's degeneracy. That's perverse. But then you got men out here, right? You got men in this world that are willing to work hard, they want to work hard, are struggling. Think about the degeneracy of just that. That's perverse. That is not a normal trajectory of economics. Your work should be compounding upon itself so that it pays over time. Your skills should be growing. You're getting more skills. You're getting more experience. That should naturally pay you more. That's not the case that's happening out here. It's all circumstance and situation and willing to do bullshit, right? Now let's see. Yeah, it says, Khan, I say about after 95, 96, you didn't have much of Babylon. You didn't have much of a Babylonian experience. Wholesome times, but hey, we want the kingdom anyway. Exactly. This is not about some reflecting in. No, this is about showing you how far along we are. How you really got to see. And I'm talking to myself now like, yo, nah. Even if we are a couple months, a couple years away, how far we are. This place is cooked. Like the elder just said, hey, really, if you didn't experience that point, that was the end. That was the peak. That was the before the poof. That was it. For me, me and this elder, we've talked about this. I think it peaked in 96. I really believe 1996 was the peak. That was the peak of American culture, Babylonian culture, black culture, all this shit. That was the peak, was right there. And it was downhill something serious from 97, 98, 2000, come on now. You had 99. See, a lot of, I know I'm rambling, but it's to build a point. All right. 99, you had, what movies came out in 99? You had Enemy of the State come out. That was with Will Smith and I forget the other guy, and they were showing us how the government is spying on us, right? Previously to that, of course, you always got they throw you little things in there type films. But man, let's be clear, man. You had The Mask, Jurassic Park, Bad Boys, you had Heat, you had Speed, you had All of these, the movies weren't really trying to wake you up to nothing, really. Were there little like egg, you know, Easter eggs as they call them in those movies? Yes, but enemy of the state, that was them telling you like, yeah, we're watching you. Then what came right after that? The Matrix. Now you're going into the year 2000. Then boom, 9/11, 2001. That completely changed the world. That was, for everybody alive, that was what they call it. That was group trauma. We all experienced that trauma. And life has not been the same. I had the same elder right here. I say the same thing. For me, 9/11 was when I became a truther. That was when I became a truther. That, for me, I remember I was in the 10th grade and I was sitting in my classroom and I just couldn't write. I couldn't wrap my head around it. So the whole day I'm just sitting there, and I remember in the spirit at the end of that day, I'm already like, nah, this had to happen. How does this? I'm like, how does somebody get? I'm asking all these. I'm like, how the hell does these people da and this? That was my first moment. That was a lot of people's first moment, and you've never been the same since. Come on, man. Let's get some more points. How long I've been going? Yeah, hey, it is what it is, man. It's the spirit. So let's get to the next point. Today, as far as economically, it's gig economic, contract work, less job stability, fewer benefits. Man, these people of old, man, you talk to your uncles and grandfathers age people, and man, these motherfuckers was getting pensions. They was getting benefits out the ass. This is why women were just sitting on their ass. They were getting medical insurance, health insurance, life insurance, all kind of benefits. There's not even a chance that Social Security is bankrupt already. So our generation will not receive Social Security. But you think they're not taking it out of your check every fucking paycheck? Right. Wage stagnation versus inflation. Real wages for many haven't kept up with rising houses, health care, and education cost. Let me tell you, I've been in Atlanta almost 20 years now. Yeah. Right? I moved here in 2008, January. When I tell you, I remember looking at a lot of these apartments. I'm talking about downtown, off Piedmont, Buckhead, Lindbergh, Buckhead. You understand what I'm not naming Decatur. I'm talking about looking at places in the city, Piedmont and North, off of Piedmont and Cortland or North Ave. Apartments used to be $1,100. 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms used to be $1,100 in the city. And I talked to some brothers that I know, man, I had a townhome and for $600, $500. That wasn't too far ago. That wasn't that long ago when rent was cheap as shit. Look at the boom of rent in the last 5 years since COVID. The home that me and my rib had before we moved out, it started at $1,300. When we got out of it, it was $1,900. That's how, and we're outside of the city. Do you understand? Like, this place is cooked. All right. High student debt burdens younger generations. Yeah, schools, these colleges. I'm just naming the things. I'm gonna stop soon, but this is all points to show you that the quality of life pre-2000 and the quality of life today is not the same. This is where you get your scriptures like Matthew, the 10th chapter. The year 2000 for me is a heavy moment for me as well, because, hold on, I'm gonna look this point up. Let's look this up. It's on my phone, but it's a quick little. Let's see what come up. All right. This post came out a few days ago, or a couple weeks ago at this point. Yeah, a couple weeks ago. All right. And it says, oh my God, man. No, stop. I just want to read the post. Black family reunions have declined by 47% since 1997. Read that again. Black family reunions have declined by 47% since 1997. You see what I said? Like the elders said, that 95, 96, 97, a lot of people argue the best draft class ever from the NBA is 96. That was Kobe Bryant, Ray Allen, Allen Iverson. Yo, that was Steve Nash. Some argue that that's the top draft. Everything for me, 96 was, that's my point of, it peaked between 95 and 98. So in 97, it's been declining 47%. If you're a scripture person, it should take you to, you should think of, let me get it real quick. Matthew 10:36. And it says that a man's foes shall be they of his own household. So a man's foes were not his household 25 years ago like that. Were there always conflict? Yes, there's always been conflict. Were we under the curses 25, 30 years ago? Yes. Yes, you are correct to those points. But even still, if you're old enough to remember, like that post is saying, family still came together. Family still had a level of holding on together, keeping it tight. Nah, man, we family, man. Fuck that shit. That ain't the case. Nah, man, fuck my, nah, you got niggas like Dirk. What, he had that song, Fuck My Cousin. Niggas don't give a fucking family. Man, that blood is thicker than water shit. That's not today. I tell you, the scriptures tell you blood not thicker than water. A lot of y'all probably like, what does that mean? What is blood not? What does that mean? The saying blood is thicker than water generally means that family bonds are the strongest and most important. However, the original meaning and more accurate interpretation is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, meaning that the bonds formed by choice, like those in covenants of friendship. So you see, the full context of it is true. I'm way closer to the brothers I serve with Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai than all my family. All of them. Okay? Because you understand, man, family ain't right, man. The Lord tell you that in the scriptures. That's as a sign, as a warning. Hey, your family. Yeah. My family. There used to be a time where motherfuckers have died for their family. And you telling me my family's gonna be my foes? Then you see, yeah, your family. You don't get along. You got cousins that want you dead. You got family members that would take full advantage of you if they could. You got aunts that hate you. You got uncles that hate you. This is the world we live in. This wasn't a time. This is one of the complaints of today. Listen to a lot of parents that have young kids like my age now. That you know, if you got kids under the age of 10, you understand greatly that this generation of grandparents ain't like our grandparents. Let me tell you, my grandmother on my father's side, she came to stay with my mother when my mother was pregnant with my brother for like most of her pregnancy, just to help with me. And I was like 4 or 5 years old. You today try to see if your mother-in-law or somebody, now if you got that, if you do in any way, shape, or form have a family member that can, help in those regards, watch your kids, you trust them, man, consider it a blessing. Because that's not the norm. All that going to spend the weekend and spend the summer with your that shit is dead. All right. I'm going to close up here in a few. This is probably going to be a continuation lesson. But, hey, man, it's a lot to this. Housing crisis. So student loan debt. So that's what we were speaking on, right? Let's get a scripture on debt. Let's go to Habakkuk 2 real quick. All right, Habakkuk 2 and 6, and it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him, and saying, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth him himself with thick clay. So now that thick clay represents the debts. This devil jamming all of us up into thick clay, into debt. Now he's in debt because he slowed down his own economy. There's no more money flowing. It's not like it was before where there was so much extra income, expendable income, disposable income, that allowed for people to, hey, yeah, let's just finance the couch. Let's just finance the lawnmower. We'll use this for a trip to Wally World or to Disney World, or all that was keeping the economy consumerist. This is a consumerist-based society. It only works if you and I and everybody around have the money to consume. I was just watching something earlier. Special K cereal has had a drop in their sales. Because why? Motherfuckers don't got $10 to spend on fucking cereal. So cereal companies are taking hits. Everything around us is taking hits because why? We don't have the money to spend. We're in thick clay. We're in debt. So this is adding on to his debt. He can't pay his bills because we aren't able to pay him. You see? Now let's go back to, like I said, that student loan debt. These kids are paying $40,000 to $50,000 a year for college. My mother told me when she went to college, like most of our mothers, grandparents, that boomer age, when they was going to college, a part-time job in the summer was enough for them to pay for their a whole year of school. You understand? Just them having a part-time job over the summer, like $500-$600 to go to college. So we went from, in about a 60-year, 70-year period, give or take, 50-year, let's just say 80s. Let's just say from the 70s and the 80s. So 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, 20s, 60-year period. College prices that went from about $1,000 a year to almost $100,000 a year. Think about that. So at the end of a 4-year degree for older generations, the pre-2000s, you could have got it. You could have got your degree for about $6,000-$7,000. You go to school now for $50,000 a year, 4 years. That's $200,000. So it went from $4,000 a year, $4,000 to get a degree, to $200,000 to get a degree, with no jobs promised to you, no job security, because that's a thing of the old. Let's keep going. Technology, pre-2000, slower pace of life, no smartphones, no constant connectivity, limited media exposure. News came from TVs, newspapers, and radios, less overwhelming. So quality of life, pre-2000, everybody was slower. That's where you get these videos of that viewpoint where the father's sitting at the breakfast table and he's reading the newspaper, and you know the kids are all having fun, and you get what I'm saying? That's all dead, people. That was an illusion. That was the let me get that because I'm gonna close up here in a few anyway, but the scriptures are the most important part. Let's go to Micah 5. And 12. And it says, and I will cut off witchcraft out of thine hand, and thou shalt have no more soothsayers. So that witchcraft, America, the American dream is witchcraft. That's deception. That's a lie. That's a spell that you're under. To have the American dream, you got to be asleep, right? That's part of that witchcraft. So being connected to this bullshit all the time is not good. It keeps you in this constant state of stress. There's danger everywhere. People knew that there was danger and there was crime, but it wasn't so put in your face to the point that now everybody looks at everybody as a potential victimizer. You don't think, I'm gonna say it like this. You don't think women of old, I remember I was talking to this old Edomite woman and she was telling me how she would get in men's cars and they would try to push, basically persuade her into having sex, right? By, hey, if you don't have sex with me, I'm gonna put you out of this car, da 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 da. That's fucked up. I'm not here to say that that's right. That's fucked up. But my point of it all is that women of old knew that men were dangerous. But do you think they were as fearful of men as women are today? And look at how men deal. Most men don't talk to women at all because they're afraid. Because of being connected to these apps so goddamn much has you pushed in a place where you think what you see on these apps is real. 80% of this shit is bots. You're letting bots determine how you feel about things instead of going out here and seeing it. See, I really experienced these women. My God, man, I'm punished by the fact of how much clientele she has, which is a blessing. That is women, and I hear it all. I've seen it all. I've smelt it all. I understand it greatly. Not saying I have all the wisdom and understanding, but I have a great understanding that what's happening in real life ain't what these hoes is popping off on this internet. These women talk all this shit online, trying to convince you and me that they ain't going for it. But in real life, they going for it. Because it's too much movement. It's too much zim zam, zim zam, zim zam, zim zam. Before you knew it, 3 years done went by and you done did a whole lot of bullshit. Limited. So privacy, far more personal privacy. Surveillance was minimum. Yeah. Man, another point. Pre-2000, people were criminals. It'll tell you that crime is really down, because it used to be a time that there was no cameras everywhere. There wasn't being able to pick up where you are by your phone and all this shit. That wasn't happening. And I'm not justifying crime. I'm just speaking to the fact that even on the left-hand side, even in the black market, has taken a hit. It's not the same, man. That's why I've spoken to a lot of you, Jake, out here. You get caught up in these trapper stories that you're hearing Jeezy and these niggas talk, and you think that you're gonna hop off the porch and go make the money that them niggas was making in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s. You're not. Oh, you hear all these rappers, man, I was hustling, made 300,000. That's cap. That's not the case. When you go watch The Wire, and I'm about to close up here. When you go watch The Wire, that series is shown in a somewhat, of course, it's about 15 years old. So it's in a modern time in the early 2000s. But those stories, the Avon Barksdales, the Marlows, The Omars, all that shit goes back to the 70s. Avon Barksdale was a drug dealer in the 70s. You understand? Omar and all them niggas, they was doing their thing. Those are real people based off of what they did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I'm speaking to a point of all of that shit that people are trying to promote and push today is dead. All of it. All right? Rappers, athletes, actors. You think Corey Holcomb said that? These actors aren't making the money that they were making 25, 30 years ago. Richard Pryor was making $250,000 a week in the 70s. Come on, man. This is going to be my last point, and I'm going to finish this up here. Social life and community. Pre-2000, more face-to-face interactions, stronger local community ties, neighborhood events, civil clubs, churches were more central to life, lower levels of reported loneliness. I just moved back here from Washington State. There's a city in Washington State that has declared loneliness as an epidemic. Do you understand? You have city municipals acknowledging that loneliness is a problem. This wasn't a thing pre-2000s. It wasn't a thing. What do you mean you lonely? First of all, families were bigger. You understand? My grandmother had 10 kids. Big families was a normal thing. All bunch of cousins. My mom, I've never met a family bigger than my mom's side. My mom probably got over 100 cousins throughout the South. Throughout the country, really. Through Connecticut, New York. My mom got family everywhere. That's not the case no more because why? Post-2000 life is harder. Having children is more expensive. You're dealing with this is a quality of life thing. Bringing it all the way back home to the fact that I could argue that the world ended in the year 2000. Not physically, because we're still here, but spiritually, yeah, this place died. The little bit that it did have really did end in 2000. Esau's on a whole lot of borrowed time, man. Babylon is on a whole lot of borrowed time. This is like the shell of it, that we're really in a shell of a place. Just because you see people in traffic on the roads and buildings, this place is hollow. There's nothing to it. There's nothing to it. Nightclub life is clubs are going out of business because they're played out. Because sections took over, bottle services took over. They got greedy. It's not about the common man. It's not about having fun no more. It's not about dancing is a big thing. It's not about dancing anymore. When was the last major dance created? When the last dance that Jake created? Everybody had to know how to do. Watch me whip, watch me nay-nay. Let's see. Let's see when that song came out. Watch me whip. Okay, this song came out in 2015. Tell me a dance that came out after that all the kids had to know how to do. They had to hit the nay-nay. They had to they had to walk it out. You understand? Like, dancing is a major part of how you feel. So now you got a club where nobody knows how to dance because there are no dances. There is no blueprint to it, right? So then people aren't connecting. You understand? Like our father's generation in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they used to get dressed and go out dancing. That's how a lot of our grandmothers and grandfathers met each other. And parents met each other at the club, at a party, dancing. He called it, yeah, your dad asked me for a dance. And I was like, okay, and we exchanged information, and here we are. Now you wonder why you nigga the birth rate is basically almost zero. Men pre-2000s got way more box than men in the year 2025. There's way more men virgins now. That wasn't a thing. Do you understand? Like, now you got you got the first time ever women in their 40s are having more babies than women in their teens and 20s. Like, this place is perverse. This is unnatural. These just aren't talking points. Oh, you don't see your family? That's unnatural. Or you don't talk to your family? That's unnatural. Or you don't have a big family? That's unnatural. Having no money is unnatural. Having no money is unnatural. Being unemployed, underemployed, all of these elements, these are all unnatural points of this place. That's why it's failing. That's why the Lord is going to destroy it. Don't you get it? So yeah, I've been going about an hour. I'm going to go ahead and close this up. I might do a continuation. There's a few more points. Let me see. I can read them real quick. Like social life, safety and crime, environment, quality, education, cultural and social progression, right? Like before there was more discrimination, but there was more, how does it say right here? It was less inclusion. Like back then it really was. It was like, racism, Jim Crow and all of these elements, but that created more community. Black people had no choice but to be tight, because why? You're being forced into a community setting. But now that there's more social acceptance, there's more, there's a less inclusion. People feel lonely. People feel like isolated. So we got all this inclusion, but inclusion is up, but isolation is or what am I trying to say? Inclusion is up, is down, or inclusion is up, and I guess I could say it like that. Inclusion is up, and loneliness is up. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of this car. It's about to start raining on me. I'm about to get out of here. So with that, the water for all the comments, everybody that tuned in, the water to all of you. I pray that this lesson was edifying and inspiring, and in the spirit of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. So I want to give all the glory and honor to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai B'Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto my apostles and elders. Shalom to all you sincere brothers and you sisters. Shalom.